Nevermore Hollows is a nexus for the natural and supernatural realms. And while most people in the town choose to ignore the strange occurrences that happen there, or try to explain them away using logic, which can't be applied to the supernatural, none of them can ignore the fact that Winona's Waffle Hut, which sits 5 miles beyond the town limits, seems to be where the stranger things happen. Mondays were typically slow, with only a lunch rush that lasted from noon to 2, and the evenings were even slower, with only a couple patrons dining at any given moment during the night. It was 6 o'clock, and Isaac White had just come on shift, relieving his business partner, Winona Crow, who was headed home to relax and crack open the new Jim Butcher novel. Isaac was a 30-year-old black man who was built like a linebacker, but spoke with the inside of a poet. A few years back, he'd been passing through Nevermore Hollows on a long road trip searching for meaning to his life after recovering from an injury that ended his college football career. He'd stopped in at Winona's, and his soul instantly resonated with the slower pace and quirky townsfolk. That was the night the alligators fell out of the sky into the parking lot, which he didn't expect to see, especially since there should be no alligators around these parts, let alone them dropping randomly out of the sky. It was also the night he'd helped Winona save a teenaged girl from being dragged into the back of a hearse by a man with no face. Winona had offered him a job, and he'd accepted. And less than 2 years later, she'd made him a partner in the diner. And now, he couldn't see himself living anywhere but in Nevermore Hollows. He was wiping down the counter while his 2 waitresses, Antoinette Boudreau and Lily Muse, helped the few patrons who were scattered about the diner. His fry cook, a short, angry man in his 50s named Buford Belvedere, grumbled and cursed at various unseen issues as he prepared the kitchen for the evening. Isaac looked up when he heard the bell above the door ring and was pleased to see Waylon Clampett step into the diner. Waylon was 22, tall and lanky, and was by all accounts a sweet-natured young man. He was the type of man who helped everyone. If he saw you on the side of the road, he pulled over to lend a hand. If someone needed money, he gave what he had, which was never much. He worked around town doing odd jobs such as carpentry, mowing lawns, and basic mechanic work. And Isaac loved all these things about the young man. But what he enjoyed most about Waylon was his loud personality. Even though Waylon was polite, he spoke loudly, he walked loudly, and somehow he even gestured loudly. Waylon was wearing his usual grease-stained trucker hat and auto mechanic's pants and shirt, which he'd bought at a thrift store. This explained why the patch over his pocket declared his name was Dave. Waylon stomped over and took a stool at the counter, and Isaac noticed that he had scratches and bruises on his arms and face and neck. "You don't look so good. You okay?" Waylon dramatically slumped over the counter, head down for a long moment. Then he sighed and looked up at Isaac with bloodshot eyes. The left one was healing from an old bruise. The right one was freshly blackened.
"Isaac, man, it's been a hell of a 3 days. I don't think I'm going to make it through this night."
Isaac knew that the world was growing darker, that angry and evil people took joy in crushing the spirits of gentle people. He worried that someone was bullying the poor guy. "I'm here for you, Waylon. Anything you need, I've got you. How can I help you?" Waylon was genuinely moved. Isaac saw thankfulness and worry battle each other for dominance on his face. It seemed to Isaac that Waylon desperately wanted help but was afraid to ask for it. After a moment, thankfulness defeated worry, and Waylon said,
"You can help me understand why I've been fighting myself."
Isaac hadn't expected that response. He was afraid that Waylon had begun hurting himself for some strange reason. "Well, Waylon, we all have things about ourselves that we struggle with. Look, I'll be glad to listen and see how I can help you deal with whatever it is you're struggling with." Waylon sat up straight, yanked his trucker hat off, and ran a hand through his hair. As he did so, he accidentally knocked over a glass sugar container.
"No, you ain't understanding me, Mr. Isaac. I've been fighting myself."
Isaac was struggling to understand. "You mean you've been hurting yourself? I hope that's not the case, Waylon." Waylon shook his head no, which ended up being a whole-body movement.
"No, man. I've been fighting myself all damn weekend."
Isaac considered the poor boy's black eyes. He clearly had been hit in the face, repeatedly. Maybe he was delusional, suffering from shock or a concussion. "I think I need to get you to a doctor. Let me grab my keys and I'll take you." Waylon slapped his cap back on.
"I don't think you understand me. What I mean is, I was sitting on the tailgate of my truck Saturday morning, over by my trailer at the Pink Flamingos, and I looked up and I seen myself walking toward me. I knew it wasn't me, 'cause I was sitting on my tailgate. So I was like, what the hell am I doing walking towards me when I'm sitting right here?"
"Were you drinking?" Waylon lurched forward over the counter, raised a hand while giving a forthright look.
"Only one can of Pabst."
"Maybe it was laced with something. Did you buy it at a store or was it given to you?"
"I see where you going. Believe me, when I saw myself walking toward me, I wondered the same thing. Somebody done mickeyed my Pabst, but I'm telling you, I wasn't drunk nor was I high."
Isaac intuited this was delving into the paranormal and that he needed more of the story so that he could figure out how to help Waylon. "Okay, continue. What happened next?"
"Well, the other me looked like me but was dressed different. He was wearing black leather sunglasses, like the Terminator. So I knew he was from the future. So he walks up to me and says, 'Join me and let's take over the world.'"
"What do you think he meant by that?"
"Hell if I know. I reckon he thought just the two of us kick everybody's ass in the whole damn world. Anyway, I told him I wasn't interested and that all I wanted to do was drink my beer and then go fishing. But he didn't like that too much, 'cause he grabbed me by my throat and punched me right in my eye. Hurt like hell, man. And then he was choking me. So I had to spring into action. I smacked him upside his head with my beer bottle, and I got the feeling he didn't think I was smart enough to do that and wasn't expecting it. Anyway, he let go, reached for a big gun he had hanging on his hip, but I snatched it while he was dazed."
"Okay. Then what happened next?" Isaac said when Waylon paused too long.
"Well, Mr. Isaac, I ain't gonna lie. I shot him."
"Did you kill him?" Waylon threw his hands up in the air.
"That's the thing. I don't freaking know. I shot him right in the heart, and he just popped out of existence like he was never there. Guess me shooting him might have sent him back to the future."
Isaac nodded as he considered this story. He believed Waylon experienced something strange, though he wasn't ready to say it was a future version of himself. And though he knew it was a serious matter, he had to suppress a smile at Waylon's dramatic redneck narration. He poured them both a cup of coffee. Then, after they had each taken a sip, he said, "Okay, that explains the one black eye. How did you get the other one and all those scratches?" Waylon took a moment to gather his thoughts. He spilled some cream into his coffee and splashed it around with a spoon.
So, I was pretty shook up, know what I mean? And I had to fight myself, and that didn't make no sense. I needed a minute. So I got up and I walked down the lane there at the trailer park. And I come across Cosmo Cleek. You know about him, right?
Isaac knew that Cosmo was a withered old man who lived in the Pink Flamingos trailer park. He claimed to be 40, though he looked 100, and wore only boxers, a t-shirt and mismatched boots, and a tattered flannel bathrobe that he called his cloak. Cosmo claimed to be a wise man, though he was only right about a third of the time. And instead of a crystal ball, he used a dented and rusty jack-in-the-box to aid in his prognostications. He had named the toy Melvin, and he would ask it a question, then crank the handle, with the warped carnival music filling the air, and when the clown popped out, Cosmo claimed it whispered secret things in his ear or told him the future. Yeah, I know who Cosmo is. He's quite a character.
Yeah, well, I think he's why I almost got my ass kicked by Terminator me.
How so?
Well, see, Cosmo sees me walking down the lane thinking about how I nearly got killed by Terminator me, and he asked me if I had a good visit with myself. I asked him what the hell he meant, and he told me that Terminator me had asked him for directions to my trailer, and he gave them.
Isaac was completely lost in this wild story. He had to see where it took him. Why did Cosmo do that?
Hell if I know. I asked old Cosmo, and he said that when Terminator me asked for directions, that he was just being polite. Can you believe that? Anyway, considering that Cosmo claims to be a wise man, I asked him if he knew what in the world was going on, and he said he didn't know, but Melvin would. So, he asked Melvin what was going on, and he cranked the handle, and Melvin popped out. And though I didn't see or hear Melvin say nothing, old Cosmo nods his head and then turns to me and says that over the next few days, I was going to battle a total of 10 evil Waylons, and that I'd know what the heck was going on after it was done, if I lived.
If you lived?
Yeah, if I lived.
Okay, so that's disturbing, but how many have you battled so far?
9.
Well, you're still alive, so one more to go, and maybe this will all be over. Look, Waylon, I believe you. I've seen too many things to discount that something paranormal isn't happening here, so I have your back. Waylon slumped again across the counter. He snatched a spoon and splashed it around in his coffee.
I appreciate that, Isaac. I really do, man. Because I just been kicking my own ass over and over all weekend. I don't think I got another fight in me. Baby me nearly killed me.
As serious as the situation was, Isaac could no longer hold back a chuckle at what Waylon had just said. Baby me? Waylon absent-mindedly tossed the spoon aside. It slid up against the napkin holder.
Yeah, baby me. Look, Isaac. This weekend I fought all kinds of me's, and all of them kept asking me to join them and take over the world. I fought a ninja me, a wizard me, and a zombie me, and I killed them all. I even fought a female me. She was kind of hot. I think I was a bit attracted to her, but there I was. I was in my trailer this morning, icing my shoulder from where the female me bit me on the neck. I think she might have been trying to kill me by giving me a hickey or something. I ain't gonna lie, it felt kind of good. Anyway, down the hall comes a crawling baby me. Looked just like I did when I was a baby. It was wearing nothing but a diaper, and it kept asking in a baby voice if I'd help it take over the world. It came at me. It was the worst one yet, and it almost killed me.
How so?
Baby me was fast. Before I could get up off the recliner, it crawled across the floor and started gnawing on my ankle. Baby me must have been teething, 'cause it hurt like a mother.
Waylon threw his foot up on the empty stool beside him and raised his pants leg, showing a dozen tiny bite marks above the top of his work boot. The wounds were bruised and deep and just starting to scab over.
I grabbed baby me, yanked him from my ankle, and that's when it went all kinds of crazy. Like a rabid squirrel, it bit me on the hand and tried to claw my eyes out.
How did you defeat it? Isaac asked, totally engrossed in this fantastic story. Waylon paused. His expression sank into a mask of shame. He leaned forward, put his forehead down on the counter, and said,
I really don't want to talk about what I had to do to that baby to defeat it, Isaac. It just don't seem right.
Isaac put a steadying hand on Waylon's shoulder. It's okay, Waylon. You don't have to tell me. Waylon looked up with his bleary eyes.
Thank you, brother. The only way I can be at peace is that there's no way baby me was a normal baby. No baby's that fast or that mean. I think baby me had a demon in it, Isaac.
It probably did. So, what happened next?
After I defeated baby me, I hobbled outside to get some fresh air. And that's when NASCAR me showed up. He rides up in a really awesome car. It was even sponsored by Pat's Blue Ribbon, my favorite beer. He crawls out wearing that cool helmet and fire suit with all them patches on it, and
He paused, and Isaac could see the internals struggle as he wrestled with various emotions. And then what? Isaac prompted.
oh, when he asked me to help him take over the world, I almost did it, Isaac. I swear to you, he looked so dang cool, I almost did it.
Waylon took a steadying breath, sat straighter as if proud that he had stormed the beaches of Normandy and survived.
But I didn't. I resisted him. And man, it broke my heart to defeat him, but I did. And that was the last one. And that was 4 hours ago. I passed out from exhaustion. And when I woke up, I realized I needed some food if I'm going to defeat the last evil me. So I come here hoping to get a burger and some fries, but I lost my wallet in all them battles.
Don't worry about that, Waylon, Isaac said. He turned and told Buford to put a rush on the order. Then he freshened Waylon's coffee. Waylon was slumped over the counter, weighed down with his weariness. He looked up.
I appreciate that, Isaac.
Suddenly, the door to the diner flew open, though no one was there. Isaac initially thought that maybe a strong wind had caught it, but the weather outside was calm as twilight descended. Though they could see no one, a voice that sounded exactly like Waylon's said,
Waylon Clampett, join me and let's take over the world.
Then Waylon shook his head, wearily but defiantly.
An invisible me? Like I keep telling you people, I don't want to take over the world.
Suddenly, Waylon's head jerked to the left, and the right side of his face distorted as if he'd been punched by some unseen force. His trucker hat flew off, and he fell off the stool onto the floor, knocking the coffee and the napkin holder off the counter. Lily Muse and Antoinette Boudreau had worked at the diner long enough to recognize a paranormal event. They sprang into action by rounding up the patrons and ushering them out the door to safety. As they did, Isaac reached under the counter and grabbed the shotgun that he kept there. Waylon tried to get up but grunted and doubled over. He'd either been kicked or punched in the stomach. As the invisible Waylon grabbed the visible Waylon by the hair and began dragging him across the floor, Isaac realized quickly that a shotgun wasn't going to be the best approach. His mind swirled at how to combat an invisible presence. Waylon's head was smashed down onto the counter and his nose broke. He pulled himself up. His eyes were glassy from pain and his chin and shirt were covered in blood. But in his right hand, he held the knife used to slice the pie. The invisible entity grabbed a handful of his shirt and yanked. As he did, Waylon shoved the knife forward. The invisible Waylon groaned in pain, and as if by magic, a circle of blood appeared in the air around the knife. Isaac saw his opportunity. There was now something to aim at. "Step back!" Waylon let go of the knife and stumbled out of the way. Isaac aimed at the bloody stain as it hovered stomach high above the floor, and he fired the shotgun. Blood seemed to erupt out of thin air and splattered across 2 tables and the floor. Then, to their surprise, the spell or whatever technology that was being used to cloak the invisible Waylon broke, and he blinked into view. He stood before them, dressed in a strange and futuristic bodysuit, his face a mask of shock, holding his hands across what was left of his stomach. Somehow the knife still protruded from the wound. He said,
"We could have ruled the world."
Then he fell dead onto the floor. Waylon slumped onto a stool.
That's it. That's 10. I've done it. There's no more. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, brother.
Lily locked the door while Antoinette called the sheriff. Isaac kept the shotgun in one hand, just in case, and with his other he handed Waylon a towel and a cup of ice. Put the ice in the towel and use it to slow the bleeding. Waylon did so, and then, sounding nasally, he said,
"Brother Isaac, what do you think it means?"
Isaac had been considering the meaning of it all as Waylon had told the story. "I find it interesting that they all wanted you to take over the world, Waylon." Waylon shook his head.
Right, man. All I want to do is be left alone and go fishing.
And that may be what's going on here. Waylon looked at Isaac over his blood-stained towel.
What do you mean?
Well, you're a simple man with a good heart, and evil doesn't like good men. It will try to corrupt them by any means necessary. Waylon was quiet as he considered this.
You saying that 'cause I just won't be nice, the devil's after me?
Isaac nodded. "I do believe in the devil, Waylon, even though a lot of folks don't. But whatever your theological views are, you have to admit that the world is getting darker and more violent and less tolerant."
Yeah, it's getting pretty dang bad out there. But why send all these other me's to get me?
Isaac shook his head. "I don't know. But Cosmo told you that after all this was done that you'd understand. What do you think it means?" Waylon thought about it hard for a long moment.
Well, those other me's wanted me to take over the whole dang world, right? Anybody that wants to take over the whole world thinks they is smarter than everybody else. And that right there is arrogant, prideful, and just wrong.
I agree with those statements, Waylon.
I think all them other me's must have been evil. And if I'm right, then that means I was fighting my own demons. So I reckon even simple folk like me got to wrestle their demons, beat them down, so they don't corrupt us. Right?
Isaac grinned at such a profound statement from such a simple man. He patted Waylon on the shoulder and led him to the counter. "You are a wiser man than you think, Waylon. Now, just sit here and rest, and you deserve it, because you quite possibly saved the world 10 times during the past few days. So let me honor your victories by taking care of you until the ambulance gets here." With that, Waylon sat at his humble place of honor on a simple stool in a modest diner located 5 miles outside a small town that, for some incomprehensible reason, evil had decided to make its main battleground in a war that it had waged against goodness for millennia. And because of Waylon's willingness to resist evil versions of himself, the sun would set and rise on the world, at least for one more time.